You have been lied to about Persephone. The story you know goes something like this. A gentle young goddess, picking flowers in a sunlit meadow, is dragged screaming into the underworld by a god who wants a bride. Her mother mourns. The earth freezes. Eventually she returns for half the year. And the world blooms again because a mother missed her daughter. It is a beautiful story. It is also, according to the ancient Greeks themselves, only half of who she became. Because the woman who emerged from that darkness was not the same girl who was taken into it. And the ancient Greeks, the ones who actually lived under her rule, feared her far more than they ever feared her husband. They did not build cults around Hades. They built them around her. They did not whisper his name in warning. They whispered hers. Tonight, we are not telling the story of the victim in the meadow. We are telling the story of the queen who sits on the throne of the dead. And the reasons an entire civilization learned never to say her real name out loud. Let's begin where the familiar story begins. But look at it more carefully this time. Persephone was the daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest, and Zeus himself. She was gathering flowers in a field when the earth split open beneath her, and Hades rose up in his chariot and took her down into his kingdom. This part of the story is genuinely horrifying, and nothing here is meant to diminish that. She was taken without her consent, is against her will, into a realm of the dead she had no part in choosing. Her screams echoed across mountains and sea, and her mother heard them, and understood immediately that something unspeakable had happened. Demeter's grief was so total that she abandoned her divine duties entirely. Crops withered. Famine spread across the mortal world. The goddess of the harvest simply stopped harvesting, and humanity began to starve. Because a mother's rage at losing her child was powerful enough to threaten the survival of every living person on Earth. Zeus eventually intervened, forcing Hades to release her. And here is where the story usually ends. A rescue. A reunion. A partial return to sunlight. But it does not end there. It cannot end there. Because something happened in that underworld that the popular version conveniently forgets to mention. And it is the reason Persephone was never able to fully return to the world above. Before Hades released her, he offered her food. A pomegranate. And she ate several seeds. This detail is treated, in most modern retellings, as an accident. A trick. A trap she fell into unknowingly. But look closer at how ancient sources actually frame it. In Greek cosmology, eating the food of the underworld bound you to it permanently. This was not a minor technicality. It was an ancient and absolute law older than any god's individual will. And Hades knew it when he offered her the fruit. Some ancient sources are explicit that this was not an innocent gesture. It was a calculated act designed specifically to ensure she could never fully leave. And here is the detail almost no modern retelling includes. By the time this story is being told in later Greek religious tradition, Persephone is no longer simply a victim of that trap. She is its enforcer. She is the one who ensures the law of the underworld's food is never broken by anyone else who tries to escape it the way she once tried to. The girl who was taken did not simply survive her captivity. She absorbed the logic of the place that captured her. And by the time she ascended for her first spring, something in her had already changed permanently. Once Persephone became queen of the underworld, ancient sources describe her not as a passive figure ruling in her husband's shadow, but as an active, terrifying force with authority all her own. Homer describes her with a title that should stop you cold. He calls her the awful goddess. Not beautiful. Not gentle. Awful, a being who inspires dread. When Odysseus travels to the underworld to consult the dead, it is not Hades he fears offending. It is her. Ancient Greek religious practice generally avoided speaking her real name aloud at all, referring to her instead through indirect titles, out of genuine fear that naming her too directly might draw her attention. Think about what that fear actually reveals. The Greeks were not afraid of a grieving girl who missed the sunlight. They were afraid of an absolute ruler, who held total power over the fate of every soul that passed into her domain. A power so complete and so feared that even speaking her name carried risk. And she used that power. Not randomly, not out of simple cruelty for its own sake, but with a precision that made her punishments far more disturbing than simple monstrous violence. Persephone's cruelty in Greek myth was not the cruelty of a beast. It was the cruelty of a queen who understood exactly what she was doing. Consider what happened to Myth. Myth was a river nymph, and Hades desired her. He presumably believed his wife would never know or never care enough to act. Myth herself even boasted that she was more beautiful than Persephone, and would eventually win Hades back for herself entirely. Persephone found out. She did not simply banish the nymph. She did not simply curse her from a distance, like other gods did. Persephone did something far more direct and far more physically brutal. According to ancient accounts, Persephone trampled Myth beneath her own feet, crushing her into the earth with her own body, in an act of physical, personal violence. This was not a curse cast with a wave of the hand. This was Persephone standing over her rival, using her own weight and her own fury, grinding her literally into the ground. Only afterward did the gods intervene to transform what remained of Myth into a plant. A small mercy layered on top of an act that was anything but merciful. The mint plant that flavors your tea today is quite literally the crushed remains of a woman that the queen of the underworld personally destroyed with her own 2 feet, because she dared to threaten what Persephone considered hers. This was not the behavior of a passive, grieving victim. This was the behavior of a woman who had learned exactly how much power she now held. If Myth shows Persephone's capacity for physical brutality, the story of Pirithous shows something arguably more disturbing: her capacity for patient, psychological cruelty. Pirithous was a mortal king, and he made a pact so audacious it bordered on suicidal ambition. He decided to abduct Persephone herself straight out of the underworld, to make her his own bride. He believed that if a god could kidnap her once, a mortal hero could simply do it again. He descended into the underworld to carry out the plan. Hades did not react with immediate rage or violence. He appeared to welcome him instead, inviting him to sit and rest. It was a trap of extraordinary patience. The moment he sat down, Pirithous found himself bound in place, his flesh fusing with the stone itself, unable to rise. Trapped in what later tradition came to call the chair of forgetfulness. A punishment designed to strip away not just his freedom, but eventually his very memory of who he had been. Here is the detail that transforms this into something genuinely chilling. This entire punishment took place in Persephone's own throne room, under her own authority as queen. She was not a passive bystander. She was the reigning monarch of the exact space where a man who had come specifically to kidnap her was slowly, patiently stripped of his identity forever. Ask yourself what it means that she allowed this to unfold in her presence. Not a quick death delivered out of rage. A slow, deliberate unmaking allowed to continue indefinitely. If Hades was the architect of the trap, Persephone was its landlord. And she never once intervened to end his suffering. Not for years. Not for centuries. Not ever. Put these pieces together, and a very different Persephone emerges. This is a goddess who was violated and taken against her will, yes. But she did not remain the victim of that violation forever. She absorbed the power of the place that took her, made herself its absolute ruler, and became someone the ancient Greeks feared enough that they refused to speak her actual name aloud. This is why the ancient Greeks feared Persephone more than Hades himself. Hades was comparatively predictable. He guarded his realm. He enforced its ancient laws. His cruelty tended to be procedural, tied to rules rather than personal vendetta. Persephone was something else entirely. She was proof that a victim could become the very thing that had once destroyed her. She moved between two worlds, spring and death, mercy and total ruin. And no mortal, and very few gods, could ever be entirely certain which version of her they were dealing with. That uncertainty, more than any single act of violence, is what made her the more terrifying figure in the ancient imagination. Hades you could understand. Hades you could predict. Persephone, the awful goddess, was something the Greeks understood they could never fully anticipate. So here is the question worth sitting with. As spring arrives each year, and the world above blooms again, we tell ourselves it is a story about a mother's love bringing her daughter home. But ask yourself instead what she brings back with her every single time she ascends. Not simply flowers. Not simply warmth. She brings back the awareness that beneath the meadow, beneath the harvest, beneath every gentle spring morning, sits a throne she never truly leaves behind. And a version of herself the ancient Greeks were wise enough to fear. If this kind of story pulls you in, subscribe. Because there are darker gods and older nightmares still waiting in the depths of this mythology. And I am not done pulling them into the light.